We understand if we have to go into further lockdowns or we have to have increasing security measures, if there are concerns with our hospital capacity or spread in the community. The question I have is, why is it safe for people to shop for non-essentials at a Walmart, Costco, Supercenter? And I love Walmart and I love all the stores. I have nothing against the big box stores. My issue is I want to support the small businesses here in Thornhill. We see them all around the Walmart. Imagine your business is closed and you're sharing a parking lot with Walmart and you're seeing shoppers coming out with Walmart carrying the exact same toys or goods that you want to be able to sell to your customers in your store. So my question is, what can we do to safely open our small businesses so that they can operate either by appointment or bringing things out to cars? Whatever it is that they can do, we should be supporting them and working with them to facilitate them being able to operate their business this very, very busy time of year. Instead, what they're getting is a big lump of coal this Christmas.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Thornhill, Ontario. And folks, at the stroke of midnight today, York Region went into gray zone lockdown mode. That's the most severe kind of lockdown. Well, severe depending on who you are. If you're a small business person, you're out of luck. If you're like a Walmart Supercenter behind me, business as usual. But the question remains, why is York Region in gray zone lockdown mode to begin with? And I am with Gila Martow. She is the MPP for the Thornhill riding and actually aspiring to be the candidate for the Conservative Party of Canada for that same Thornhill riding. Gila, first of all, thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule to join me today. And do you have any understanding whatsoever why we are in gray zone lockdown right now, meaning the likes of a Walmart, a Costco can open their doors, but all these mom and pop little businesses here cannot?
So my concern is, do you mind if I hold it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. We can do socially distancing, we're outside. My concern is really about a level playing field for all the business owners, and B, stopping the spread of the infection, of course. We understand if we have to go into further lockdowns or we have to have increasing security measures, if there are concerns with our hospital capacity or spread in the community. The question I have is, why is it safe for people to shop for non-essentials at a Walmart, Costco, Supercenter? And I love Walmart and I love all the stores. I have nothing against the big box stores. My issue is I want to support the small businesses here in Thornhill. We see them all around the Walmart. Imagine your business is closed and you're sharing a parking lot with Walmart and you're seeing shoppers coming out with Walmart carrying the exact same toys or goods that you want to be able to sell to your customers in your store. So my question is, what can we do to safely open our small businesses so that they can operate either by appointment or bringing things out to cars? Whatever it is that they can do, we should be supporting them and working with them to facilitate them being able to operate their business this very, very busy time of year. Instead, what they're getting is a big lump of coal this Christmas.
Yeah, they sure are, Gila. But I want to dwell on the ostensible policy reason for these lockdowns in the first place. The associations that represent retailers, that represent the fitness industry, that represent the restaurants, all say that less than 1% of COVID positive cases can be traced back to these establishments. So why are we shutting them down, given that it would seem that the evidence would suggest that private get-togethers is the problem when it comes to positive caseloads?
David, I was an optometrist my previous career. I worked through SARS wearing an N95 mask. I feel for our frontline healthcare workers. I stand with them and I support them. On the other hand, if the business community has data that I'm not personally seeing, then I have a problem with that, because I personally have asked to see some data to support where the spread is coming from. The question is, are we going into lockdown to just remind everybody there's a pandemic, or are we going into further lockdown because we actually have the data to support that whatever measures we're putting in place are actually working? So I think that we have to really look at that data hard and fast and see, is it spread by staff coming and going into long-term care facilities? I have messaging from last March asking if we could look at having staff housed at long-term care facilities, live there. They could work possibly extra hours and have a huge bonus pay plus room and board, not to come and go. So they're not bringing the virus into the long-term care homes, and they're not bringing it out of the long-term care homes into the community. So my question is, what can we do to stop the spread while also supporting our small businesses?
You know, Gila, I think you nailed it there with the long-term care facility, the death count. We know in Canada that is over 82% of the deaths, and to me that's the only statistic that matters. The death rate is coming out of long-term care facilities, people who are very elderly. But getting back to the gray zone lockdown, Gila, for weeks now, Toronto and Peel region have been in this gray zone lockdown, and the number of positive cases has not diminished. So why is the Premier or whoever is advising the Premier looking at the failures of Peel region and the City of Toronto and saying, yeah, it'll work this time for York region? I just don't get that.
So there's a lot that a lot of people don't get. First of all, it's not just about the death rate. We're hearing that people who've contracted the virus, that they're not recovering fully, they're not recovering quickly, and they're having long-term health problems. So as a former healthcare professional, I have to say that we can't just look at death rates. We have to look at the cost to our frontline healthcare workers, the cost to our healthcare system, and the long-term effects of the virus. Other than that, again, the question remains that I think our small business owners feel that they lost a lot of revenue already this year, that they're not going to make it through this pandemic. And what I am suggesting is that we want our citizens to be physically healthy, we want them to be emotionally healthy, but we want our businesses to be healthy as well. So I want to really thank you for this time popping over, and I want to just mention to everybody that we're right here by DeSera, which we have a lot of restaurants in Thornhill on DeSera Drive, and I'm really worried for our restaurants and all of our small businesses this holiday season. Thank you, David.
Before you go, Gila, one last question. We know that Premier Ford campaigned in 2018 for the people, Ontario open for business. Instead, we're having gray zone lockdowns. We know that York Region's Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kareem Kurji, he said not to go into gray zone lockdown. My question is, the Premier has said time and time again, if he had to wear his entrepreneur's hat, he'd open everything up. But he is beholden to the advice of the medical industry, the science industry, and so on. If you have the York Region Officer of Health saying don't do this, then who, Gila, is Premier Ford getting his advice from?
So there is, of course, a command team. I'm not on that command team, so I can't speak for their decision making. I believe that the command team has the best interests of the population, and I think the Premier's really put his heart into keeping everybody safe during this pandemic. But I just want to remind everybody that our small businesses have to make it through, and I'm concerned. I'm very, very concerned about a level playing field. I'm concerned when I hear other provinces have forced the big box stores to close down their non-essentials, bubble wrap them or rope them up, or whatever the other provinces, Manitoba in specific, has done that with Costco. We've seen that Costco was even fined in Markham for some infractions, as well as in Manitoba. So the question remains, why do the big box stores get to stay open selling non-essentials? And my concern is, does it have anything to do with paying high-paid lobbyists? And I'm going to leave it at that. I got to run, David. Thank you so much. No, you're going to finish on the lobbyists.
Okay, then. Well, thank you so much. And that was Gila Martow. And I think the lobbyist comment that Gila was referring to is that Gila is running in the federal riding of Thornhill for the Conservative Party of Canada nomination. And she's running against Melissa Lantzman, who, if you can believe it, was on the payroll of Walmart as a lobbyist basically going into the Premier's office and making sure that Walmart wouldn't be affected by this lockdown. So we did reach out to Miss Landsman if she'd like to come on camera for an interview. She declined, but she did say that she is supporting small business. I wonder by whose benchmark Walmart is a small business. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, are you sick and tired of certain politicians and bureaucrats telling you that you can't open your business? Well, if you decide to open, please let us know about it. Go to iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com, and I'll pay you a visit to make sure the world knows your story.